quiet meadow nestled between two great oak trees, where the grass swayed softly in the evening breeze, lived a gentle deer named Elara. Her fur shimmered like silk under the starlight, and her antlers glowed with a soft, magical light, as though they were made of moonbeams. The other forest creatures adored her, for her presence brought a deep sense of calm, like the warmth of a crackling fire on a chilly night. Rabbits hopped closer to listen when she spoke. Birds nested nearer when she rested, and even the trees seemed to lean in, their leaves rustling with quiet respect. But Elara never minded the attention. She was humble and kind, her heart as soft as the moss that carpeted the forest floor. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of lavender and peach, Elara felt something strange, a gentle tug in her chest. Like a thread being pulled, she looked up, her large, curious eyes reflecting the first few twinkling stars. The forest was quiet, save for the distant hum of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. But there, just beyond the edge of the meadow, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. A narrow, winding path, its edges lined with small, glowing stones that seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light. Elara tilted her head, her ears twitching forward. The path was overgrown with vines and berries, as though it had been hidden for a long time. Yet somehow, it felt inviting. The glowing stones seemed to beckon her forward, their soft light matching the rhythm of her steady heartbeat. She sniffed the air, her nostrils flaring, and caught the faintest scent of wildflowers and honey. Without knowing why, she felt drawn to this mysterious trail, as though it might lead her to something wonderful, or perhaps something that needed her gentle touch. And so, with a quiet nudge from the unknown, Elara stepped forward, her hooves making barely a sound against the soft earth. The path glowed brighter as she approached, its light guiding her into the quiet depths of the forest. The world seemed to grow even more still, as though it too was curious about where this journey might lead. The path unwound before Elara like a serpent of light, its glowing stones crunching softly beneath her hooves. The woods around her grew taller and closer here, the trees leaning in as though to share a secret. Their branches whispered in the evening air, a soft, soothing melody that harmonized with the steady beat of her heart. The air thickened with the scent of lavender and honeysuckle, and the glowing stones seemed to hum a quiet song, guiding her deeper into the forest. As she walked, the trees began to thin, and Elara found herself at the edge of a clearing. In the center of the space stood an enormous tree, unlike any she had ever seen. Its bark shimmered like liquid silver, and its leaves glowed with a soft, ethereal light, as though they were made of the same moonbeams that tree seemed to hum with a warm, comforting energy, and Elara felt an inexplicable pull toward it, as though it held answers to questions she hadn't yet thought to ask. She stepped closer, her hooves crunching on leaves that crumbled to glittering dust beneath her feet. The ground beneath her grew softer, like moss, and the air filled with the gentle music of running water. Around the base of the great tree, Elara noticed a ring of small, round pools of water. Each pool reflected the glowing leaves above, creating a mosaic of light and shadow that danced across the forest floor. The sound of the water was almost musical, gentle trickles and soft ripples, like the quiet song of a lullaby. Curious, Elara dipped her head and drank from one of the pools. The water was cool and sweet, with a hint of honey and something deeply familiar, though she couldn't quite place it. As she lifted her head, she noticed something shimmering in the water's reflection. A small, glowing shape floating just below the surface. She tilted her head, her ears twitching, and the shape moved closer, as though drawn to her presence. It was a tiny creature, no bigger than a butterfly, with wings as delicate as a dragonfly, and a body that shimmered like dew on grass. It floated just above the water, its light flickering in time with the glowing stones that lined the path. Elara watched it in wonder, her breath steady and calm, as the creature began to circle around her, leaving a trail of soft light in its wake. The creature darted up to her antlers, where it settled among the glowing beams of moonlight. She could feel its gentle weight, like a feather resting on her horns, and a strange sense of calm washed over her. The forest seemed to grow quieter still, as though the world itself was holding its breath. The glowing stones dimmed slightly, and the pools of water stilled, their reflections perfect and unbroken. Elara closed her eyes, her heart slowing as she let the quiet embrace of the forest surround her. She felt the soft rustle of her fur in the breeze, the coolness of the night air, and the warmth of the glowing lights around her. It was as though time itself had stopped, leaving only the present moment, filled with peace and wonder. When she opened her eyes again, the creature had vanished, but its light lingered, swirling gently around her. The pools of water rippled once more, and the trees began to whisper their soft melody. The glowing stones along the path pulsed faintly, as though urging her onward, or perhaps back toward the meadow. Elara turned her head, looking back along the winding path she had followed. The stones still glowed, their light a gentle reminder of the journey she had taken. She felt a strange sense of contentment, as though she had discovered something important, though she couldn't quite name what it was. The forest seemed to hum with quiet approval, as though it were pleased she had found this hidden place. And then, with the calm certainty guiding her back through the trees, the soft light of the pools fading into the distance behind her. The world seemed to breathe deeply, sighing with a quiet contentment as she made her way home beneath the star-filled sky. As Elara stepped back onto the glowing path, the stones beneath her hooves dimmed slightly, their soft light casting long shadows that stretched like yawns across the forest floor. The trees, now silent, stood as sentinels, their branches swaying gently in a final, quiet farewell. The air carried the faintest whisper of honeysuckle and lavender, a scent that lingered in her nostrils as she made her way back through the quiet woods. The path unwound itself before her once more, its stones glowing faintly to guide her home. With each step, the world around her seemed to grow heavier, as though the night itself was settling in for a well-deserved rest. The crickets had long since fallen silent, and even the distant hoot of an owl was nothing more than a memory. The only sound now was the soft rustle of leaves beneath her feet, a lullaby sung by the forest itself. As she emerged from the woods and into the meadow, Elara saw that it too had changed. The grass lay flat, bathed in the soft light of the stars, which now hung low in the sky like diamonds caught in a velvet cloak. The air was cool and still, carrying the faint scent of dew, and the world seemed to hum with the quiet energy of night. Elara's home, a small cluster of bushes nestled beneath an ancient oak, welcomed her back with open arms. The leaves rustled softly as she approached, and the grass seemed to part for her, as though making way for a queen. She stepped into the center of the clearing, her hooves making barely a sound on the soft earth. The tiny creature's light still lingered around her, a faint glow that seemed to pulse with the same rhythm as her heartbeat. She lowered her head, breathing deeply, and felt the weight of the day's journey lift from her shoulders. The world seemed to sigh with her, the trees leaning in one last time to listen. And then, with the same quiet certainty that had led her into the woods, Elara lay down in the soft grass. Her bed of moss cradled her, and the stars above her twinkled like old friends. The tiny creature's light had long since faded, but she could still feel its presence, a gentle warmth that lingered in her chest. As she closed her eyes, the world around her seemed to grow even quieter. The stars dimmed, the moon dipped below the horizon, and the night itself seemed to curl up beside her, wrapping her in its soft, dark arms. Elara's breathing slowed, her heart growing steady and calm. The forest, too, seemed to breathe with her, the trees swaying gently in time with her slow, deep breaths. The world was still, and in that stillness, Elara found peace. And as the night wore on, the meadow grew darker, the stars twinkling faintly above. The wind died, the grass stilled, and the world was bathed in the quiet She knew that she would carry that gift with her always,